By now, you should have a solid understanding of the framework and types of PPC campaigns, as well as their different placements. But before we set up campaigns, we want to make sure that you understand how to structure them the best way for successful optimization later. Here to give his advice on the best practices for campaign structures and names is PPC Pro Mina Elias of Trivium.
What's up guys, my name is Mina Elias, aka the Egyptian Prescription, and I will be covering a module about campaign structure best practices. I've been selling supplements on Amazon for a while now. I've worked with Helium 10 a lot on a lot of Amazon PPC and other stuff too, and I'm very excited to share this module with you guys. So campaign structure best practices. It's incredibly important to have really good campaign structure right off the bat. And the reason is, if you don't, the first thing is you might lose a lot of money because you don't know what's happening in your account. Things kind of start getting messy, you're not really organized. And another thing is, if you're trying to figure out what the source of the issues are or what's working and what's not, it's gonna be incredibly hard if you don't have a good structure. Another point which we will cover in a little bit is we try and limit the control Amazon has. Amazon has things that we can't control. For example, if we launch an auto campaign, Amazon will show up for different keywords. We cannot control what keywords they show up for. However, if we limit what things Amazon can control, we can get to a point where we're comfortable with what they can control and what we can control. So like I said, one of the very important things to have right off the bat is good campaign structure and organization in your campaign. And next module, we'll actually jump into a live campaign manager and show you how things are organized. And you'll see that when things are organized very well, it's very easy to find things and very easy to understand things. So a couple of things to keep in mind. Good campaign structure is very good for organization and control, and you'll be able to save a lot of money and find any issues or things that are working that you want to perhaps spend some more money on. So, like I mentioned before, in Amazon, there's a few things that we can control and there's a few things that we can't control. One of the things that we cannot control is how Amazon decides to split the budget between the ad groups. So let's cover the difference between the campaign and the ad groups. So they're just simply levels. You have a campaign and an ad group and the keywords that go within the ad group. It's almost like you go down every single level and there's just one, it's a ladder. There's one way, it's campaign, and then when you create a campaign, it says, okay, what are the ad groups that are in this campaign? And then once you create an ad group, it says, okay, what are the keywords that are in this ad group? And that's all it is. There's nothing more to it than that. It's almost like just a structuring of where you're hosting all of your keywords. Now, when you create a campaign, you might think, hey, I'm gonna set a $100 budget. I'm gonna have 2 ad groups. And if I have 2 ad groups, then this one ad group is gonna get $50. This other ad group is gonna get $50. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And I've tried a lot of different things and I've had different ad groups and only one ad group and things like that. And it's never been consistent with Amazon, where if you had 2 ad groups, it splits, or 3 ad groups, it goes 33% in each ad group. It's always random. And that's one thing that we don't want to happen, because if you have 2 ad groups and you have 5 keywords here and 5 keywords here, you might have really profitable keywords in one, but Amazon decides to send budget to a different ad group for some reason. Now, we don't know how the Amazon algorithm exactly works, but what we know is if we limit its control, we can identify what works based on the data that we can see, and then whatever works we can do more of, and whatever's not working we can stop. So here's an example. Let's say you have a budget of $100 and you create 2 ad groups. The assumption is 50 would go to each ad group. That's not true, and here's a visual of it. This is what you would expect it to look like. $100 budget, ad group 1, ad group 2, ad group 3, ad group 4, $25 to every single ad group, and then you have 1 to 10 keywords in each ad group, which means that each keyword is going to get 10% of these. But this is not how it works. Usually we see something more like this. You have a $100 campaign budget, and then you get $38 in this, $14 in this ad group, $25 in that ad group. So it really doesn't work the way that we want it to work. If we were able to set a budget at the ad group level, it would change things a lot. Maybe we could use ad groups effectively, but as of right now, we can't do it. If we set a campaign level budget, which is the only place you can set a budget, Amazon is just going to, however it thinks best, send budget to your different ad groups. Now, what is the solution for that? Now, if we know that we have $100 and we want to send $50 to ad group 1 and $50 to ad group 2, the solution is to split it and have one campaign, one ad group, and then the keywords. And then in that one ad group, you can set the campaign budget to $50. Other campaign, you can set it to $50. So that second ad group will also only get $50. And that's how you make sure that each of those ad groups or each of those campaigns only spends $50 or only gets a budget of $50. Let's not say spends, because spending is very different than budget. Now, within each of those ad groups, you'll have 5 to 10 keywords. We're gonna talk about the best practices for how many keywords to have in each ad group. And then we're also gonna talk about how Amazon is gonna spend the money from the campaign budget in those keywords. So, how much spend will each keyword get? So, like we talked about with ad groups, it's the exact same thing. We don't know how Amazon is going to send that budget that we set at the campaign level. We know it's gonna go straight through the ad group down to the keywords, right? Because now it's no longer splitting between ad groups, it's just going through one ad group. But how much budget will each keyword get? Thing is, we don't know that. And it's, again, something that Amazon has control. The only way to ensure that your entire budget goes to the keyword is to have only one keyword. Now, obviously, if you have 300, 400 keywords, it can be incredibly tedious to create one campaign, one ad group, one ad, and then, or one keyword, and then you have the multiple match types, broad, phrase, exact, so it can get out of hand pretty quick. Now, on the other side, you don't want to have one campaign, one ad group, and then 300 keywords, because what you'll notice is you'll start seeing that maybe the first keyword's getting spent, second keyword's getting spent, maybe the third one, and then it starts dropping off. By the 10th one, they're not really getting spent. By the 20th one, keyword, anything after that is not getting any spend at all, barely any impressions. So you're essentially not even running PPC or running any ads for those keywords that are not getting spent. Because if they're not getting any budget, they're not showing up anywhere. So we want to structure our campaigns to have one campaign, one ad group, and then up to 20 keywords maximum. We're going to talk about how many keywords in the next slide. So for this example where we talk about high volume keywords, 1 to 5 is what I've seen works best. 1 ideally for main keywords, 5 if they're pretty strong keywords but you don't want to separate each keyword out. I definitely wouldn't do more than 5 for main keywords because you really want to give them a lot of budget. Now, someone could ask, well, why don't I just increase my budget from 100 to 500? Won't that give enough budget for all the keywords? And the answer is unfortunately not. What I've seen happen is Amazon will just take that budget and pump more of it to the keyword that it's been giving budget to. So if you have 5 keywords in there and you start noticing that one of them is getting most of the spend, the other keywords are not getting the spend, that's when you know Amazon is taking that campaign level budget and it's sending it all to, it's going to go through the ad group and it's going to send it all to one keyword. And we don't know why Amazon does this, but the theory is Amazon says, statistically speaking, we think that this keyword is going to drive more sales, so we're going to send all of the budget here. Now, these other keywords might be a lot more profitable, but this one might have a higher likelihood of being seen, being clicked on. So Amazon might say, even though this is not profitable, which they don't really care about if it's profitable or not, they care about what's the highest chance of converting into a sale, right? Because that's what they're optimizing for. Now, medium keywords, 1 to 10, medium low volume keywords 1 to 15, and then low volume keywords 1 to 20. Anything beyond 20 I've really not seen any success with. Now, if you ask me how do I determine if this is high search volume, medium, or low, you have the wonderful Helium 10 magnet tool. You can go in there, you can type in a keyword, right on the top left it's going to show you the search volume for that keyword. So you can quickly figure out what the search volume is. You can type in as many keywords as you want, figure all of the search volumes, put them in an Excel spreadsheet, sort them out, and then you can start setting the different tiers. You can say, well, these 5 keywords are highest search volume, these ones are medium, these ones are medium, these ones are low, and so on and so forth. And if you start getting stuck and saying, where do I draw the line? Do I have a keyword at 5,000 search volume? I have a keyword at 4,000 search volume. What should I do? Is this a medium? Is this a low? It doesn't really matter at that point. It's not a science. Put them in together in the same ad group. And if you start noticing in 7 days later, you look at the data and you start noticing one keyword is getting a lot of spend, let's say $30, and another keyword is getting $5. At that point, you're like, that first keyword is getting all of the budget, second keyword is not getting budget, let's move it out. And same thing happens if you have 5 or 10 keywords in there. It's very good to wait a week, jump in there and then look. You can sort by spend, you can sort by impression and say, what's happening here? What's going on? Is one keyword getting all of the spend, or are they evenly distributed? 21, 20, 18, 16, 15, that's very healthy. It's a spread. Some keywords have higher search volume, some keywords get clicked on more, so it's fine when you have some sort of variation. But if you notice that 1 or 2 keywords are dominating, they're taking all of the budget, and then these other keywords are not really getting a lot of spend or a lot of clicks. And I like to look at spend over clicks, because with the spend, you can see a very big difference. You'll see the top one has $20 in spend and then the bottom one has 5, versus looking at clicks and then the clicks are all like numbers that start getting mushed up. And when there's no dollar amount kind of attached to the numbers, it might be hard to visualize if it's working or if it's not. So that's what I would suggest. Keyword budget allocation, it's very critical to also keep in mind that different keywords are going to perform differently. So if you have a high search volume and a low search volume keyword, do not put them in the same campaign, because this is a surefire way to make sure that all of the budget is going to go to the high search volume keyword and not the low search volume keyword. And what happens is then you're essentially not running any PPC for that lower search volume keyword, because if you have a high search volume and then a bunch of low, and Amazon just keeps sending all of the budget to that high search volume keyword, the other keywords are not getting any spend. And if they're not getting spend, it's as if essentially you don't even have them in your campaign, right? To summarize this module, guys, campaign structure best practices. You want to have a campaign, and then you have one ad group within that campaign so that the budget can flow right through the ad group. And then you want to have up to a maximum of 20 keywords, preferably 5. I love 5. 10 if you want to kind of be somewhere in the middle, just so the budget can be evenly allocated. Anything beyond 20 really is not effective. And you want to make sure that you separate the high search volume from the low search volume keywords out. If you don't know if it's high or low, you can always go in, Magnet in Helium 10, search, look at the search volume for the keywords, find the search volume, and then make a decision off of there. All right, guys, so after covering campaign structure best practices, we're gonna cover campaign names best practices. And I wanna show you some stuff in the account here that's very important for organization. One thing I wanna start off by covering is portfolios. So right here on the left, there's something called a portfolio. A portfolio is essentially a folder for all of your campaigns. So again, if we look at the structure of things, we have a campaign, and inside the campaign we have an ad group. Inside the ad group we have keywords. Now, if you have 100 campaigns, 50 are for your product number 1, 50 are for your product number 2. The way to separate it easily, because you don't want everything mixed and matched together, is you can create a portfolio and then take all of your campaigns for one product and put them in the portfolio. It's simply like a folder that hosts your campaigns. You can click on the portfolio and then you can see the performance. We have this beautiful dashboard here, which shows the spend and the sales and the ROAS and all of these nice little things. But if I have, you see here, different products, different campaigns for different products, then I don't know, is this 2.97 ROAS for all of my products, or is it for one product? Or so sometimes it gets hard. Now, I'm gonna also cover why names are so important, because you can actually tell right away how the performance of a product is doing simply by the name, if you've named everything correctly. But to make your life easier, create a portfolio for every single product that you have, and then put all of the campaigns in that portfolio. Now, for variations, if you have different size, color variations, it all depends on how you're gonna build your campaigns. If you create a campaign and inside that campaign, when it asks you to select a product, you're going to select all of the variations for your product, then when you create a portfolio, add all of the products, all of the campaigns for all the products in that portfolio. But if you're gonna say, well, my blue flavor and my red flavor, like for example, my blue raz or my mango pineapple, they perform differently. They each get their own campaigns. They're not child-parent variations. They're simply separate listings. Each one of them gets a different portfolio because they perform differently. They're in different campaigns Why should I mix things? And it makes it very simple to look at things and I say, oh wow, my Blue Raz is performing amazing. It has a good return on ad spend. It has a very low ACOS. There's good sales. Oh, but my Mango Pineapple, that's not doing too well. The ACOS is very high. The ROAS is low. It's spending a lot of money and it's not making sales. So I can start making decisions, say, well, what's going on here? Another thing could be if you just launched a new product. So you have a long existing product, it's doing very well. When you launch a new product, you're probably going to lose a little bit of money right off the bat when you're trying to get some sales velocity and get reviews and all that stuff. And then later on, it's going to perform better. So initially, if you have everything all mixed up together, it could look like this product, your entire portfolio is not doing well. But it could just be that your products are doing amazing, the existing ones, and the new one is just not doing so well right in the beginning. So it's very important to keep everything separate. And if you jump in here and you click, Simply Celery, you can look, can look at right away. This is the performance in the last 30 days just for Simply Celery. And then, if you click on the other ones, it'll be the same thing for the other products. But when you click on all campaigns, this is basically going to show you all of your campaigns. Now, and this is for all of the different products. So campaign nomenclature, why is it so important? As you can see here, you have all of your different campaigns. What if I want to say, what's the performance of just the celery product? And yeah, maybe it's they're in the portfolio, but if you want to do it quickly, you can just type in SC here. Now, you'll notice that for my campaigns for celery, I always have SC Simply Celery, the code right at the beginning. Now, this code will help me identify that this is the Simply Celery product right here, right at the beginning, and I can figure out what it is. Now, in other cases, for example, let's see, SD, here we go. Again, I can figure out right away, this is the performance for SD. So you notice right here, ROAS is 1.13. So the SD performance is really bad. Meanwhile, the SC performance is really good. So just a couple things to keep in mind when we're doing the campaign nomenclature. Number one, the code at the beginning, SCSD, it's always important to have a product code. Some people like to do ASIN. The problem with ASIN or the problem with SKU is you're not going to memorize codes. It's already hard enough to memorize your phone number. Why do you want a code in the beginning of your campaign name? Just make it something simple. SD, Simply Detox. Very simple. Very easy to remember, and you can right away figure out what product it's for. Now, always do space dash space, because if you don't do the space dash space, sometimes you can have SD and it can be connected to something and then it doesn't show up. So just always have a space in there, makes things easy. Now next, what are some other things you can include in your campaign names that will help differentiate it? Well, one, if it's auto campaign or if it's a manual campaign. If it's an auto campaign, it has 4 different targeting groups: close match, loose match, complements, and substitutes. So it's good to, if you're gonna separate the auto campaign into each separate targeting group, you can mention the targeting group. If you're gonna have the auto campaign all lumped up, then you can say, all targeting groups, something like that. Again, the goal is, if I read this, I can right away figure out what's going on. Now, if it's manual, if it's going to be either keyword targeting or ASIN targeting or product targeting. So if it's a keyword targeting, we have 3 different match types. We have exact match, phrase match, and broad match. All things that you want to mention, because when you look at that campaign name, you can right away figure out what that campaign is doing. Another important reason is, for example, if I type in here SC, you'll see that I'm targeting celery power. So even if this campaign doesn't have a really good ROAS, which it does now, but if it doesn't, I might be okay with a lower ROAS because I'm targeting a big competitor and I always want to show up under that big competitor. You could be doing this because targeting a big competitor is giving you relevancy or is showing you to the exact audience that you want to show. There's many different reasons, but sometimes you're gonna create campaigns where you're okay losing a little bit of money. If you don't know why this campaign is not profitable and you have no idea what's in this campaign, you have to manually click in here, and then once you're in, you have to, again, these are your ad groups and you have the different ad groups. You have to click on the ad group. Once you're in the ad group, you have to click on the targeting, and finally, now that you're in the targeting, you figure out what this is. It's targeting one ASIN, and then you have to copy this ASIN, go to Amazon.com, search the ASIN, and then finally figure out what I knew right off the bat, which is targeting Celery Power, which is a big competitor. So you would have spent 5 minutes doing something that your campaign name could have given you in 2 seconds. And it's very easy to identify if there's any issues simply by reading the campaign name. So we've covered, if it's auto, you have the 4 different targeting groups. So it'd be something like SC-auto-close match or -loose match. If it's manual, it'll be SC-manual, and you don't even have to include manual, because if you mention if it's a keyword or a product targeting, you're gonna know it's not auto. So you can say SC-exact or broad or phrase or product targeting or category targeting. And I'll show you an example here of category. This one, SD space cat, which is category, detox and cleanse weight loss. So this is a very typical example where I'm targeting a category, so I know that it's a product targeting, and then this is the exact category I'm targeting. So very easy to figure out what's going on, and I can very quickly say, oh, right here, it's spending money and it's not making me money. So I can say, okay, I get it. I targeted an entire category. I targeted a bunch of products. This is not really working out for me, and I can turn it off. Now, other things we can include is the source of where you got the keyword. So did you get it from main competitors? Or did you get it from a search term report? Or did you get it from Helium 10 as the top 10 keywords? Very important, because if you say, I got this from the search term report, we get it. It's just unique keywords that you found that you're launching and trying to figure out if they work or not. But if this is a main competitor and maybe the ROAS is not so good, or maybe you're spending and not making a lot of money, you want to look into this. You want to say, okay, this is a main competitor. Am I okay spending that money? Am I not okay? And you can also very quickly sort through a lot of these things. So I can say, show me how my exact campaigns or exact keywords are performing. And this is how all of the exact is performing. So if we did something like this, which is SD exact, you have to do it. You have to have really good nomenclature in this case. So you can't really show exact and at the same time show if it's for Simply Detox, but this is why we have good portfolios. I can click in Super Detox here, and I can click exact, type in exact, and now it shows me the performance of the exact keywords over the last 30 days. And these are just exact keywords. Now, if I want to look at the broad, I can simply say, okay, show me the broad. And here I can see that the broad, so this kind of tells me right away, broad is performing a lot better than exact. And it's important to see these things, because these things will help you make decisions a lot faster than having to click into every single campaign and then click on the ad group in the campaign and then doing a full investigation. Now here you'll see some numbers, 17, 11, 22, 1. When it gets to a point where you're having the same name over and over again, like example, this is a main keyword, broad 1. If you have 30 main keywords or 20 main keywords, what do you do in this case? You could mention the keyword if you're only doing 1 per campaign, or you could just put a number. For keywords that I discovered from the search term report, for example, these are keywords. I went into the search term report. I had auto campaign running. I saw a bunch of customer search terms. I said, okay, these are all unique keywords I haven't bid on. Let's create campaigns for them. So you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have a bunch of different keywords from the search term report, but there's no difference between them. So I just add a number at the end of it. And that's pretty much it. And you'll notice that this will help you really keep everything clean, keep everything organized. If you want to look for a product very quickly, you can. If you want to look for the type of the product, you can. And that's pretty much it. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, to summarize this module, best practices for campaign names and portfolios. So portfolio is a folder that hosts all of the campaigns that belong to each product. Have a separate portfolio for every single product. When you're creating campaign names, have a product code for your product. So for example, SC, SD, and you can go as complex as possible, but the goal of the code is that if you read that code, you'll immediately know what the product is without having to go look at what the ASIN is and figure out, okay, this is the ASIN, and let's go into the inventory manager and figure out what this ASIN, what's the product. Then after that, you want to have something that determines, is this auto or is this manual? If it's manual, is it exact or broader phrase, or is it a product targeting campaign, or is it a category targeting campaign? Any additional unique identifiers, is this the main keyword? Is this a competitor that you're targeting? Whatever it is, and then a number, just because you're gonna run out of names and then you're just gonna have to start adding a number, 1, 2, 3, whatever, to keep the campaign names going. That's it, guys, and good luck.